Welcome to the all-new and first ever MINI Aceman. Today's a special day. We don't get a lot of new models in the MINI lineup, and today we're getting one. It is MINI's first ever all-electric crossover, exclusively electric. It is, of course, made on the J01 platform, so it's stretched into this crossover shape, and it is designed to slot between the J01 Mini Cooper and, of course, the larger all-new U25 Mini Countryman. The MINI Aceman is a sort of a twist on the design language we saw introduced last year with the J01 Mini Cooper and the U25 Mini Countryman. It's got a little bit of funk to it. It's got some shapes, some textures, some things that we just haven't seen before. And clearly what MINI has done here is they tried to create something that has a bit of its own personality, something that feels maybe perhaps a bit younger. And as you can see in these side-by-sides, you get a sense of what MINI's done here to create a shape and a vibe that's a little different, definitely more angular. You could say more aggressive, perhaps, more upright, boxier. We've heard it all, we've seen it all. And in our mind, looking at these photos and seeing it now next to these new cars, it looks promising. Of course, we haven't seen it up close and hands-on yet. We will soon. But first glances, we have to say it's a very interesting shape that is starting to gel. Once we got the cladding off, once we saw it in sort of normal, proportions under the sun in these photos and these videos, it starts to come together really nicely. But we also see the same sort of effect inside. MINI has created, again, a bit of a twist on what we saw with the J01 Mini Cooper. The design is very, very similar, but there's some interesting nuances to it. Of course, some of the switchgear is identical, the steering wheel, the circular display. The strap, however, looks actually to be fully usable. How do they get away with that? It's behind the steering wheel, hence it probably doesn't pose a safety issue, so it might be usable here. We'll find out more soon. The door cards are all new. The switchgear, as I mentioned, is the same, but there's some slight changes and some really, really nice textures and materials that look to be all new. What's really not all new, of course, is that circular display, which, as we know, is the centerpiece for that in-car experience for MINI. And now that we've used it, we've driven cars with it, we have to say it is a game changer for the brand, and one that really they should be very proud of in terms of how it's actually turned out. So taking a look at this MINI again under the sunlight and sort of in person, if you will, you get a sense that this is designed for really that person that wants a touch more room than what we see in the Cooper, but doesn't really want to have the larger crossover that Countryman, which I think for a lot of people starts to enter into non-MINI territory, if you will. And that's what's interesting about this car. This is essentially a maximized interior volume in a small space, exactly what the MINI has always been. And to us, again, it looks very promising. It looks like the embodiment of where the brand has talked about heading for a long time come to life. And we can't wait to see more.